When that happened and we restructured as a woman-owned small business, I thought to myself, what other industry has low margins, high competition, and a lot of red tape? The federal government. We were nominated in 2024 by the Alaska Women's Business Center, which is funded by the SBA. And I was nominated, I think, for 3 different awards. Didn't win any, and I had heard that I came in a close second, but I didn't know for which one, and was told to do it again. So they nominated me again for 2025. I knew that I was in the running for one of them. I didn't know which one it was. I just assumed it was like an Alaska Women in Business Award, which is one of the ones I was nominated for. I didn't realize it was the big national competition. So that was extra exciting to get Small Business Person of the Year for the state. And I wasn't 100% sure why I won until I was doing the interview with the Alaska Women's Business Center and a local reporter. And they were explaining that one of the distinguishing factors in choosing a winner is resilience in the face of adversity. And when she said that, I was like, oh, now I know why I won. It's been adverse. I came to ASCI in 2013 as a succession plan for the prior owner, learning the business, learning the people, learning how we operate, starting to learn the business development side of things, contract management. And in 2019, I moved much faster into taking over the business than I anticipated when the prior CEO died of pancreatic cancer. And 2 weeks later, our largest customer, who was BP Alaska, they announced they were selling their assets and leaving Alaska. And they represented a huge chunk, like 70% of our revenue at the time. You fast forward to March of 2020, and we all know what happened then. In the middle of COVID, we had 3 or 4 contracts, and every one of them was in jeopardy at that point. Most small businesses that were supporting oil and gas at that time went under. We almost did. We came very close. I went to the owners at the time. We had a discussion. Either I was going to spend everything we had trying to turn it around, or I could do a partial liquidation and they could take their piece and walk away. At the time, we had a publicly traded company that was a minority owner. So we didn't count as small according to the SBA. So I was really pushing a big boulder up a hill trying to turn it around. So I took the company through a partial liquidation. Me and the other working owner had close to the same ownership. He liquidated a small piece so that we settled as a woman-owned small business. At the time, we were close to, I think he was like 49 and some change, and I was 50 and some change. I've subsequently bought out most of his ownership, so he has 19.5% now. And at that point, it was a race against time, right? I knew we could turn it around. I was worried about being able to do it before we run out of money. So we had 2 PPP loans that helped carry us through it, and just grit and determination of the core team. We won our first federal contract as a prime contractor in November of 2022. So it was about a year and a half after we started. We won the first one. That started generating revenue in March of 23. It was kind of a long startup process. And then we won our second contract a year after that in April of 2024. And that was our first DoD contract, also as a prime contractor. And 24 was the first year since 2020 that we were profitable. So, a lot of sleepless nights for Advanced Supply Chain International. So to answer the original question, what do we do? It's supply chain. So we manage stuff, we move stuff, we buy stuff, we store stuff, we inventory stuff. So we're in asset intensive industries. So on the commercial side, right now we have a contract with Santos, which is an oil and gas company here in Alaska. Historically, we've run large operations for oil and gas customers. So we've had contracts with BP, ConocoPhillips, Equinor, some of the bigger players. On the federal side, we have a couple of different business models. So we go in and run government operations. That one, we have a contract in North Carolina with the Navy. at a fleet readiness center moving aircraft parts. And we have another one where we purchase and own inventory and then resell it to the government on demand. We run basically like a little distribution center for office supplies, tools, and cleaning supplies within the state of Alaska. So we carry about 650 items, and anybody at a federal agency, civilian or defense, goes in and orders through whatever their ordering portal is, whether it's a program called MillStrip or it's GSA Advantage. If it is on our contract, it comes to us via an EDI. We fulfill it and deliver it locally. So I'm a military brat. I grew up in the military, lived all over the place. Alaska is where I settled. My husband and I met in Alaska way back in the day on Match.com. And at the time we met, our parents lived 20 minutes from each other in Alabama. Born in Utah, spent some time in Texas, spent the first part of elementary school in Mississippi, the second part of elementary school, middle school in Alaska, and then I graduated high school in England and then came back here. The biggest advantage of being a small business is we're more nimble. We wrap around the customer's process as opposed to trying to force them into our process. Works in our favor. It allows us to be able to bid in a way that's really tailored to what the customer needs. Oftentimes what the customer needs and asks for aren't necessarily the same thing. What they ask for are the services that they need, but what they need is often some management support wrapping around that to shift the on-site culture to move things in the right direction. So we come in with that attitude and mindset that we work in a way that makes our customer more efficient. It's harder to do as a big business, right? Because you have your own red tape. One of the disadvantages of being small is, it's the budget. Let's be real. I don't have the travel budget, the sales budget, the business development budget that a lot of the bigger companies do. So it's a lot scrappier work trying to compete against even a bigger small business. We're at the smaller end of the small spectrum. The best advice I have for somebody who's trying to enter the federal space, find your swim lane and stick to it. So we really only put our time and effort into bidding on things that we think we can honestly win. We're not taking the shotgun approach for a variety of reasons. One, I don't want to risk winning something and then not being able to perform or not performing at 100%. Because when you're first entering, your reputation is all you have. I don't want to ruin that out of the gate. We really focus our efforts on bidding on things we think we actually have a shot at winning. If we don't win it, we usually are coming in the top 2 or 3. As a woman, you still have to be a wife and a mom, and all the other those don't go away. So there's definitely challenges there. Luckily, I have a husband that's 100% supportive, so I don't have to worry about who's going to make dinner if I'm running late. He just picks it up and does it. As far as the two of us, we both love to cook. So that's our Switzerland. If we need to talk about something touchy, or particularly when it comes to finances, either personal or business, we do it while we're cooking dinner. So it's kind of a nice neutral spot. Also helps with the self-care. We're both pretty good cooks. It actually makes it difficult to go out to eat because we'll go eat somewhere and we're like, we could have made this at home better. We have a 16-year-old son. He's relatively self-sufficient at this point. He's driving and gets himself around, so it's fantastic. He does football and track, so keeps himself pretty occupied. We actually have a small hobby farm that we specifically got when he was about 9 so that he'd have farm chores, so he could grow up and be responsible and a productive member of society. He doesn't know what he wants to be, so we've never pushed this on him at all. So if it's something he wants to do, great. If not, that's great too. From the time he was little, he wanted to be a wildlife biologist or fish and game or something like that. Now that he's in high school and taking biology and chemistry, he's not so sure. So we are growing. At our height, we were about $20 million a year, 25 in annual revenue, and had about 250 employees. At our smallest, we had less than $1 million in revenue per year and 1 billable employee. Right now, we're sitting at about 45, close to 50 employees, and we're at about $7.5 million in revenue. So we're growing. Our plan is to stay small. So I'm watching that 5-year rolling revenue. I want to win between 1 and 5 million a year and grow up to 25, 35 million in revenue and kind of hover around there. Any bigger than that, and we're too big for me to know everybody's name, and for me to be able to give the personal service to the customers that we want to give. We have a couple. Revenue is one, but really it's positive revenue. In the height of the darkest moments, we had what one of our employees lovingly called the chart of death, and it was our cash runway. And I've taken the approach with our team of erring on the side of too much transparency. So I've shared the good, bad, and the ugly, my fears. I think it took a lot of humility and I had to let go of a lot. But we had this cash runway that showed when we were running out of cash. And for close to 2 years, it was anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. Every week we looked at that, and they stuck with us. I didn't lose a single employee during that process. So for me, that is the biggest measure of success, is that we came through that with all of the same team. Our average tenure is about 8 to 10 years. We have a passion for supporting the military and veteran community. We have about a 30% of our employee population are veterans. We are part of the Military Spouse Employment Partnership. I've been a military spouse, and growing up as a military dependent, it's a struggle having to move around every few years. If we have a remote job, we try to offer that to military spouses so they have a job that'll travel with them. There's been some positive and some negative impact to us from the recent flurry of executive orders. One of our contracts is potentially in jeopardy, and it's not that the contract itself is in jeopardy because we're performing well on the contract, it's the program. Like the program itself could be in jeopardy. The other contract I think is pretty secure. They could insource it, but not likely. They couldn't do it for cheaper than we do it. We, on one of our contracts, had a lot of environmental stuff kind of put in there, and there were some financial triggers to those things. And I was actually extremely happy to see some of these executive orders come out around the greenhouse gas reporting in particular. We had just hit that trigger, and I was going to have to do a greenhouse gas emissions report, and I had no idea. Like, we don't have the resources to capture that. How do I capture greenhouse gas emissions on a DoD contract where we're operating old DoD vehicles? I didn't even know the first thing about where to begin. We were going to have to pay somebody to do that, so I'm super happy to not have to. Things change when administrations change, right? But the root of it doesn't. Be strategic. Don't just react and stress about all the little things that are happening. Look at the bigger picture and shape your strategy around that. So if you look at the bigger picture of federal contracting right now, they are cutting the federal government, right? They're cutting it back, which we all know needs to happen. We're running in a deficit. It needs to happen. It's going to be uncomfortable. We probably won't like the way it happens, especially if you're in the area being cut, but they're cutting. And when it comes to very specific parts of the government, and if you're in one of these industries, they can't stop doing it. And so what's going to happen is they're going to outsource more. So I fully expect that there will be more federal contracting opportunities as they cut the federal staffing because it's cheaper, right? I don't pay the same pension that the federal government pays. So it's way cheaper to pay me to do it than it is to pay somebody in the government to do it. Think strategically. Don't whipsaw and react to all the little things coming out of the government. The power of a small business owner is to join with other small business owners and have your voice heard. We are the majority of the businesses in the country, small businesses. So when I first took over the business in 2019, I was really looking for what peer group, what did I want to get involved in, what did I not want to be involved in, and I was adamant I wasn't going to be involved in politics. And then after a couple of years, I realized maybe I need to get a little more involved than I want to be, not necessarily supporting individual politicians and that kind of part of politics, but more the advocacy side. And the timing was such that I had gotten one of the generic recruiting emails from NSBA. And I thought, well, this is perfect. And then I joined the Leadership Council, and it's been super fun ever since. I've been to a couple of events, and I'm regularly sending letters and reaching out to my congressional delegates, both on behalf of NSBA, but also, I do some advocacy for the Alaska Chamber of Commerce. I do want to say thank you to the SBA for giving me the opportunity. And then I also want to say thank you to the Alaska Women's Business Center for nominating me, and to the NSBA for providing a supporting letter as part of the nomination package, as did the Human Resource Certification Institute, who I'm a subject matter expert volunteer with. So thank you.